Hello and welcome to the second Source Gaming discussion for Gamescom. I'm your host NantenJex and joining me today is Nirbion.
Hey!
And this discussion is going to be all about Bandai Namco, but if you want to hear our thoughts on Nintendo and Smash, make sure you check out the first discussion. So, the reason we're doing Bandai Namco specifically, and not throwing them in with all the other big AAA publishers, is because Bandai Namco had a lot to show off. They had an hour-long press conference, which we attended, and then everyone got an hour and a half to try out 7 upcoming brand new games. But also outside of that, they had a few other games on the show floor, mostly anime-based games, that we got to try out as well. So with 9 games to talk about, it made more sense to do it as its own discussion. So we're just going to go down the list that we've written them in, and we'll start with the brand new announcement that Bandai Namco made at Gamescom, which is this upcoming series of games that are called the Dark Pictures Anthology. And this is collaboration with Supermassive Games, who work on Until Dawn, and it's a series of horror anthologies. So think of how you have like Universal's Monsters, and you have all those like sort of low budget horror movies that are all sort of collected and put together in something. Bandai Namco are trying to do the same thing with games. Short, 6 to 8 hour long games that will be released, kind of like, so imagine how the popular thing right now for Telltale games are episodic games. 5 short games that tell one story. Bandai Namco are trying to do that, but rather than all being all part of one ongoing story, they're all set in the same universe. They're all based around urban myths and urban and legends, but each story is its own standalone thing. So if you just wanted to try the Dark Pictures Anthology number 3, and you won't have to have played 1 or 2 to do this. And they're hoping that if production proceeds at schedule and the games are popular enough, they'll be able to release 1 or even 2 a year. So for horror fans out there, and especially for people who like horror-based story games like Until Dawn, this is a really good thing. Now, I loved Until Dawn. Me and my fiancé played over it quite a few times. And to be honest, the Dark Pictures Anthology was probably my favourite of all of Bandai Namco's games that they showed off this year.
And it just shows that you are a big fan of horror game-based games.
Yeah, I don't
or a fan at least.
I don't like the jump scare like games like Five Nights at Freddy's. I don't think that's like real horror. That's cheap horror, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Whereas this, the tension was really good. The demo had you walking through a submarine. So I'll tell you first, the Man of Madon, I keep getting that wrong all the time. I think that is how you say it though. Is the theme around this one, I believe, is ghost ships.
Yes.
So it's about a bunch of 5 kids who go off for like this boat party tour, whatever, to go deep sea diving, and they take something that they shouldn't have from a sunken wreckage, and then this big freighter shows up. I think it's like a big ship with this Japanese. I couldn't tell what it is. He clearly looked Japanese, but then he started speaking in French at one point.
Yes, I thought first. Okay, did the demo messed up? Did they include French?
Yeah, we'll probably find out more about that, but then there are ghosts. I'm assuming they're ghosts. They look like zombies, but considering how ghost ships tend to work, yeah, they're probably like ghost zombie skeleton things. And the game tries to do the same sort of butterfly effect thing that Until Dawn does. So it calls it your moral compass, where at the beginning of the demo it asked us, do we think with our emotions or do we think with our, do we think things through first? So I went with the think things through first, because that tends to be what I'm like. And then I'm assuming that will it will judge you based on how closely you stick to your moral compass. Because you have choices like, do you save this guy or abandon him? Do you go back to check or do you just keep going? And things like this. Do you keep looking around or do you just try and get out as fast as possible? And the demo was really fun to play. It plays just like Until Dawn does. You go reach down, pick up items, you can turn them around, you can expect things, you get like the occasional where the camera's zooming out, you see a hand and then it moves and it makes a big doom sound. It really feels like what the next sequel to Until Dawn would be like. And I think, I can't stress it, if you're a fan of that game, you will like this game. I guarantee you will like it. Obviously, the story is going to play a big role in that. But in fact, it even has stuff like the premonitions. So in Until Dawn, you can pick up totem poles, and then you see like, this is a premonition of that. The same thing is here. There's a picture you can look at. First time you look at it, the guy pushes you out of the way, but you can go back there after he disappears and look at it, and it gives you a premonition of what you should do.
Yes, or making more, or searching for more hints to get the secret out of this mystery about the very strange happenings. And of course, yes, if you're a fan of horror games and such, and are a big fan of Until Dawn, you won't be disappointed. Sadly, I'm not a really big guy for horror games or horror movies, so it's not really cheap jump scares like, and I also felt a real tension to the situation, but I think for me personally it was too intense for me, too scary, but I really enjoy the quality production of this game. Like, you can see how much work was put into the game, like in the animation, like in the character models. It looks really spot on.
Yeah, there's a lot of production where it looks very, very nice. And they told us, just like in Until Dawn, everyone can live, everyone can die, depending on your choices. How much freedom that actually gives you, whether it's more like Until Dawn's, well, 2 of the deaths don't matter, a third one is won't die, and then the rest don't die until the end, sort of thing. Like, not to spoil Until Dawn or anything, but they made a big deal out of the fact that you could save everyone or let everyone die, and it doesn't really play into anything up until the very last moment. But they did say in this one that even though the game's shorter, there's going to be more, that's allowed them to have more branching options, more different takes. So even though the campaign is like only 6 hours long, there's about like 8 to 10 hours of actual if you were going through different pathways, different cutscenes, you could see various different endings. And we'll see if that lives up to their actual claim, or if that's just PR talk.
Yeah, let's see.
The game is set to come out early 2019, and if it's good enough, a sequel will come out probably this time or 2019, and then they'll just keep like that on track. So that was the first of the many games, including the many narrative-driven games that Namco showed off. But the next game on our list isn't one of them. It's a much more highly anticipated game, and it's Soul Calibur 6. And I really like Soul Calibur 6. It was the next best game that they had there for me. And the only reason I didn't put it higher than the Until Dawn one is because Soul Calibur 6 plays like Soul Calibur does, really. I've been playing Soul Calibur since the second game, and I've gone back and played the others originally, and they've been getting better with each installment gameplay-wise. I know a lot of people didn't quite like things in 5, but this feels and plays like Soul Calibur does.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a big Soul Calibur fan. I only played the second game at all for GameCube. But I still think it's a really solid fighting game, and there are also new mechanics included that makes it easier for new players. Like, there's a rage mechanic that you can activate. And
is that the one where they hold their weapon?
Yes, it glows red, and they're facing off against. It was also explained to me.
See, yeah, it wasn't explained to me, so I was like, "What?" Or like, you just hit someone that goes into a scene where they both dive at each other.
Yes.
And sometimes my hit first, and sometimes his hit me, and
I
was like, "What is it? What's going on?"
There was sometimes a paper, rock, scissors mechanic. Like, if you pressed this button and he pressed, like, if I attack and he like defense, the attack would be blocked and I would get kicked out. But if I like pressed block instead and he like defense, I think it was like that, but then I would just successfully make my special attack.
Okay.
And it was a really cool mechanic, which enabled, at least for me as a beginner, to make it like very outstanding attacks.
Okay.
And I also asked about how will this affect competitive play, because of course the Calibur will be at next Evo. Like, it's already
a lot of people are anticipating it. They announced DLC obviously with Tira here, and although they haven't shown off all the characters, I'm pretty sure they saw a teaser of Cervantes.
But I think the developers are very sure about this mechanic being also very competitive friendly, because everyone has those actions. And they are very confident that it won't break the game.
Yes. And so what else they announced, although we didn't get to try it out, was a custom campaign for your custom characters with like 16 different species, and you can pick, and each one has their own gender. Plays a skeleton, plays a
female
panda,
skeleton.
Plays a female skeleton.
I'm really curious about how they look.
Actually, like, changes the cutscenes as well for your character's model.
Yeah.
And you can choose to go the good guy side of the dark side. It has lots of RPG elements. It reminded me a lot of Soul Calibur 2 and 3's extra campaigns, which are the best extra campaigns that Soul Calibur has ever had. So if they live up to that, that's really good. Like that alone made me super hyped for Soul Calibur 6. But playing the game as well was really good. Also, Drought will have his own campaign. Drought being the Witcher character, the new guest character. And I thought that he played pretty well. I still prefer playing as Keelik, who's him and Talon are my two main characters for Soul Calibur. But I did have fun playing as Drought. I enjoy him more than characters like Ivy and Taki.
Yeah, I didn't try out Ivy, for example, but yeah, Geralt is also really fun. I must be very honest, I already forgot all the characters' names, because I never really kept up with the series, but I think one character I particularly liked was that Chinese-looking female character.
Shonghua.
Probably. Probably. But I really like her playstyle.
Okay. Alright, so moving down, the next game was one... I guess it's like the opposite situation. It was Ace Combat 7 Skies Unknown. And I have never played an Ace Combat game before, and I had no idea what I was doing in this demo.
Same.
Really?
Same.
I thought
yes.
you seemed to be doing much better than I was when playing through it.
I went into a hard game over. Like, I crashed into a facility and I started the mission over and wanted to... But it really is... I think it has a really cool... I played at least Afterburner, which is a really fun game from... It's Sega. It's totally different. And I don't think this comparison I just trying to do is anything close to be fair. But it's still... I think it's a really fun game if you can get into it. And it also will include a very heavy story. And yeah, we never grew up or played any Ace Combat games before, so we can't make a very fair judgment. Yeah,
that one, like, it might just be like it might be like Ace Combat but significantly better or what, but I have nothing to base it on.
Yes.
And as it stands, it's not for me. I did find it funny how like the trailer goes into like this super serious story and all these characters, and like you watch the trailer, it's like all like proper movie like, and I'm just like when I play in the actual game, I'm like, it doesn't feel like I'm playing this story, but okay.
I mean, maybe it has to do something with the demo.
Maybe, I don't know. I have a feeling that a lot of flight games are just like that with serious stories, and if you like them, that's great. I don't care. Moving on to the next one, which is one that I'm not going to spend much time on, and it's One Piece World Seeker. And I got some pretty strong opinions on this game, with the narrowing, like the final verdict being that I'm not a massive fan of it. But I was talking with Rogers Base and NantenJex, who might even be watching this now, and I think we're going to try and do a discussion on that for Rogers' channel. Like, we haven't worked out any details yet, Gamescom's still on, we said we'd do it after that. So I'm going to save up all my big thoughts about the game on that. But as it stands now, I'm not a huge fan of it. I played it twice, once on the show floor in German, once at the Bandai Namco booth in English, and I definitely preferred it the second time, playing it in English. But I still didn't think it was that great. But what about you?
Yeah, you have to stick with my opinion for this one. So yes, I also think for One Piece open world kind of game, the demo was not really built on that. Like, you have to sneak around, you have to knock out marine soldiers that
it was very un-Luffy-like.
Yes, very un-Luffy-like.
Sneak around and perform stealth knockouts.
Yes, that was also for me very... Because I didn't care any about it. I didn't even knew you have to be careful about not seeing at all. And I just ran to the soldiers and knocked them out. Or tried to knock them out and got a lot of damage because of that. But it... From game perspective, I think... Yeah, I'm also not a very big fan. I think One Piece fans will like it, of course. Or I don't want to say of course, because that's a little bit assumptuous. But
I am a One Piece fan and I'm not liking it so far.
Yes,
so
I should be careful. But you have like different ways to knock out soldiers with several attacks, but they're all more button based. Like, they have in one animation, you have to wait out until it plays out, and then you can move on. And it was very, it feels not very flexible as I wanted to be. It wasn't intuitive.
Like I said, I might leave my thoughts for
and
video.
There was also a boss fight.
Oh yeah,
I forgot its name.
Against Akainu.
Thanks.
Or Sakazuki, as he's now called.
And I think I even enjoyed that boss fight less because it was more avoiding his attacks, waiting for an opportunity, and hoping that camera problems will not be in my way. Because camera problems, that was also for me a reason.
I had that problem as well. I actually think the boss was actually probably the funnest part of the demo for me. At least the first time I played it. For some reason, the second time I played it, I don't know if I was just playing really poorly or if at that point I just didn't care anymore. But I kept making loads of mistakes. Was the first time when I didn't know what I was doing. I had a really fun boss fight. So maybe it just sometimes depends. But the boss fight is actually what I preferred out of everything in the demo.
I felt like it became very repetitive. It was like I figured out, okay, there I can attack, here I can't, and the length of where you can't attack was for me too big. Like it was sometimes really boring to even trying to avoid all his attacks.
Yeah, and the second demo actually ran out of time, and so it didn't beat him. Whereas the first demo
I beat him.
Oh, ambulance outside.
Oh no.
Jesus.
But yeah,
cut that
probably because of opinions.
Yes.
But yes, no. I think as from a perspective as the One Piece casual fan maybe, I think I didn't get a lot of entertainment out of the demo because a lot of the elements felt for me clunky and unflexible, and I hope the story makes it up for it.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see. Yes. We will see.
Yeah. So the next game is another Shonen Jump game. And in fact, we actually played 3 Shonen Jump games, so we'll do them all back to back.
Yes.
So this one was... Let's leave the big one for the end. Let's do Boruto's dad. We'll do Naruto to Boruto Shinobi Striker, which we just randomly decided to play on the show floor because we had a few minutes to kill. And I was hoping it'd be like the Ultimate Ninja Storm games. There seems to be a crossover between Naruto and Boruto, and you can make your own custom ninja. But it's not like the Ultimate Ninja Storm games at all. It's, in fact, much more like Naruto Broken Bonds on the Xbox 360, if anyone actually played that.
I did.
Apart from me. So it's like a mission-based adventure game where they just throw hordes of unknown ninjas at you, and you have to beat them up with your you have Chidori, and you had some explosion attack, at least on my character did. And you can throw ninja tools and stuff like that, and you fight the horde, you move to the next spot. You fight the horde, you move to the next spot. You have Shikamaru and Naruto on your side, and Choji, but you can't play as them. I'm assuming in the actual final game, you'll get to play as them. I'm assuming there's a fighting game option you get to it, and the Shinobi's just for the main campaign. I don't know how the Boruto parts fit into this at all. There was one thing I did like, and that's you can run along the walls.
Yes, that was actually really cool, but it also makes orientation a little bit more difficult. At least for me, I wasn't sometimes sure where to go next.
Well, this is why they have these little cursors you have to run to and stand on this spot, and then the next one will appear. Because otherwise events won't happen, because you can just run past everything. Like every room seems to be like some box room where you can't go too high up. Or there are walls all around so that you can run on everything. But if you run all the way to the end of the stage, there's nothing there because you have to do it point by point by point. And I guess there's a reason I hadn't heard of this game until I saw it on the show floor. It's not great.
I mean, when I said that One Piece was Sega has camera problems, it was just not really favorable. In Naruto and this Boruto's dad game, it was really bad. I found myself very often to camera problems because I hadn't had the real side or the good side of my enemies, and sometimes was even locked behind a wall. Not behind a wall, but against the wall.
Okay. And I didn't have those issues, but I did have issues where enemies would just attack me out of nowhere from the side. and that was really annoying.
Yes.
It's meh.
It's really
And
maybe a fun brawler for the kids.
Yeah.
A fun brawler for the kids.
And speaking of meh, I also played My Hero One's Justice, the My Hero Academia fighting game that I played it on the Switch, which runs at a lower frame rate than the other versions, and it's an arena brawler, and I did not like it at all, actually. I played 2 fights, one as Bakugo and the other as Uraka, because Uraka is quite a technical fighter, so I was like, I'm going to try a hopefully simpler one, Bakugo, and see if it's any better. But there were so many parts of that game I just didn't enjoy. I mean, the lack of frame rate issues on the Switch version is a big part of that, but also just the combat was really clunky. For some reason, every character can basically fly, like they've got multiple jumps, hop across the air. I don't know what, I thought it was a glitch at first because it just seemed really weird. You can summon support characters, which is a nice to have, and you can do some like super moves by pressing certain buttons. But it didn't look very good, it didn't play very well. It just seemed like a typical anime fighter cash-in. I think there's a reason why it wasn't part of the main presentation at Namco and was just a side game that they had for people to try. Like, I know there's a lot of people out there looking forward to it because it's the first proper My Hero Academia game we're getting over here. But I don't think it's that great, to be honest.
I mean, I didn't even bother to play it, actually.
Yeah, it was just
like, I even skipped it. I thought, okay, this looks really, really close to the Naruto Ninja.
Oh, it doesn't really play like the Ultimate
I wanted to ask
games either. No, it doesn't play like them. Otherwise, it'd be fun. I wasn't a fan of that. So that's maybe it's better on the PS4, but I can only imagine that's because of the improved visuals and frame rate. The gameplay's got to be the same, surely. So I don't think it's going to be a very good game, personally. But you didn't play it, so we'll go to the one that we both did play.
Yes.
We played a few times. Was Jump Force, the big Shonen Jump crossover title.
Like, this is the big gun from Bandai Namco. They made a big deal out of this one, the event. It was the Shonen Jump world entering the real world, the two combining. Yeah.
So you could play in like Hong Kong and you can play in New York. You can also play on like Planet Namek, and the Statue of Liberty is there. And so bits and bobs of each world are taken there, and you play as the Jump Force, is what they're called. It's the team of jump heroes, and they showed off a customizable character in the demo, but you didn't get to use it, and a campaign there, but again, its own story campaign, but again, we didn't get to do that for the demo. For the demo, we just got to play as a lot of the characters they announced.
Like Vegeta, for example, or Blackbeard.
Blackbeard was there, the 2 Hunter x Hunter characters, Gon and Hisoka were there. The only 2 characters that weren't available in the demo for some reason was Sanji and Sabo. They were the only 2 characters that were announced and weren't in the demo. Every other character was. Oh, and Aizen. Aizen wasn't there for some reason, but Ichigo and Rukia were. And, this game has a lot of motion blur, and that's really, really annoying. Actually, that's my biggest criticism of this game. When I was playing in the Hong Kong area, like every movement, the screen would just like fly from side to side, and everything would blur. And I was like, I have no idea what I'm doing. Like, I can't see anything.
That was really a big thing. I mean, I tried out a very bright stage like Matterhorn, and it was the same there. Like, it's not because of the many lights, it's also because I also had really a good idea of what I'm doing, and also didn't have a really good feel about the character, because motion blur is a really big problem about jumpers, and this is why I felt like it's less a game but more a spectacle. Because if you look just as a spectator, it looks outstanding. It looks really flashy with all the attacks, with all the light effects, and
visuals are clearly the big thing that they're pushing for in this game, because of how realistic, quote unquote, everything looks, and all the flashy attacks. You can knock people on a stage and they go flying off to the next stage, going all over the place. So it's like, wow, this is what's going on here. This is insane. And it looks quite nice from that point. You go into match with 3 characters and you can swap between them or summon them as support, but I always tried to summon them as support and would accidentally swap to them because it's the same button.
Yes.
You just have to hold it down slightly longer to do the support, I think.
Oh, good. Good to know.
It was weird. I didn't quite understand what was going on with it, to be honest. But Yeah, Jump Force is better than J-Star's Victory Versus. I can say that for sure. Like, the game feels like a much better arena brawler, but there are just so many little things that just make it annoying. Like, another thing, every character has 4 special attacks, which you do by holding down the L1 button, and then you pick either triangle, square, circle, or X. But the X one is the strongest, but it's sealed off, and I had no idea what caused it to stop being
unavailable. I think you have to power up. Like, there was a button you can power up yourself.
Yes, you can charge.
You can charge your
That's
meter.
what I thought it was, but it's not that, because I charged myself up to the absolute max power I could possibly have, and it still wasn't available.
I feel like that was more a demo thing. Like,
maybe.
I also charged all the meters up until it was done, and I tried out, and then after a while, X was suddenly available. And I thought, okay, it's a bug. It only recognizes after a certain time frame.
See, that just seems really weird to have for a demo. Like, the only time I could ever use it was during the second round, about halfway through. And there's no reason for that. There's also a really weird... So, when there are 2 rounds, like most fighting games. But what it does is you knock them down in the first round and they fall to the ground. And then there's like... Oh no, no, sorry, I think I might be getting that confused with My Hero Academia game, actually.
Even though they both look
completely
different.
I mean, no, just because they're both arena brawlers, but I remember in that game, when you get knocked down in round 1, and then it goes to round 2, there's no transition, the character you just beat just stands up again and starts running around again. It's like, what? It just feels really clunky. Anyway, sorry, Jump Force. Yeah, it's just weird. It's better than J-Star's Victory Versus. Maybe it will be good if you're really into Shonen Jump stuff. But if they can't sort out all the motion blur, I don't think it's a game that I want to be playing, because I had no idea what was going on half the time. Which is a shame, because I was hoping... I want them to make a good arena brawler again. Like, Ultimate Ninja Storm and Budokai Tenkaichi 3 are both great games. And, yeah, it's just not. Okay, so that does it for Jump Force, and we're sorry for the sudden cut. We just had a bit of a camera problem with it shutting itself off for some silly reason. And so we're instead just going to move on, and we've got 2 more games left. And the first of these games we want to talk about is probably the one we enjoyed the least. And it's the narrative adventure game Twin Mirror. So Bandai Namco was setting this up quite a bit, and they were trying to hype us up for it. And the problem is, it's just kind of generic, I felt.
It feels very generic.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of a detective game. You're that guy that found a new job, left his family, his friends behind a village, and after his new job doesn't turn out to be good, he returns to his village, to the funeral of his friend, and a lot of stuff is for him very awkward, very uncomfortable, and the demo started actually in the hotel room.
Yeah, presumably the first thing that happens is he wakes up, he's got a shirt, it's covered in blood, and he's trying to remember what he did last night. And the 2 things they were trying to build up for us for this game was that he has this inner demon, or not a demon, but a subconscious. I mean, they described it as, the angel devil on your shoulder, and he's this confident, more cockier version of the main character, who, you feel like I've seen in a million other things. Like he's talking to himself.
It's a very popular way to show your inner voice.
Yeah, but they were trying to hype it up like it was this big deal. And then the other one was that there's a room that you have in your mind that's like this weird floating rock thing. Yes. And they're trying to be like, this is the place, this is his inner mind, this is where he sees things, this is where you'll get to work out all the investigative stuff. It's going to be really cool. But the problem was that it looked visually cool, but all you end up doing is you walking down a corridor as he monologues to himself and the scenery changes, and then you just end up in the room you're already in, trying to work out what happened. Yeah, what happened. And you do this by jumping back between the real world and the dream world, or not the dream world, but the mime world. And in the real world, you're looking for clues, and in the mime world, you're trying to replicate the events of the night before. And while it seems like an interesting idea, the problem and it may just be for the demo, is that the real world really wants you to do things in a set order. So he presents you with 2 clues, and then you go to the dream world to figure them out, and instantly the main character just doesn't follow one of the clues we already know.
Yes.
Like, we know that his shirt is bloody and he took it off and tried to clean it, But his first thought is, oh, maybe I just went to bed straight away. And it's like, well, clearly that's not right, because you know for a fact that you didn't do that. So why are we walking through these steps? It's really dumb.
Yes, and there are more hints actually in the room, but it was locked away. Like, we couldn't access those hints. We first had to go to the inner world in his conscious and repair his memory. And then we are allowed to go to the reality and search for the other hints. And I felt that was really unfair.
Yeah, it effectively made us check the entire room 2, 3, 4 times. It'd be like, imagine Ace Attorney, where you're looking for hints in a room and you click on one thing and it comes up with, like, you click on everything in the room and only one of them ends up actually giving you a hint and the rest are all just useless. And then you do one extra cutscene and you're back in the exact same room, but now clicking on the stuff that was useless before suddenly gives you hints for no reason other than, like, the game's leading you on a set thing, and maybe they would argue they're trying to ease you into it, but it just felt really dumbed down. And I was just like sitting there the whole time being like, well, clearly there's this mark on the wall. What's this? This has clearly got something to do with it, but the game's not letting me actually notice it or talk. Even though I've already noticed it myself, the game's not letting me mention it, talk about it, bring it up until the game actually wants me to do it, which makes me feel less like a detective and more like I'm just following the steps of the story.
Yes, and there was a part where I couldn't find one hint, and I just straight up gave up. Like, okay, I'm not bothering with the game anymore. I just stopped and played another game.
Yeah.
And when I watched, we were sitting next to each other. When I saw NantenJex finding the other hint and see the conclusion of this demo part, I personally thought, thank God I didn't play it anymore, because the conclusion was also pretty
it's just pretty
disappointing.
naff. He decides to leave the hotel, and you get a decision like, do you take the shirt or leave the shirt? And Bandai Namco are trying to hype up that, unlike the Until Dawn game, Man of Madden, where making the wrong decision is punishable and characters can die, they were being like, this game, we want to see how you would act, so act like yourself, and, you know, if nothing is punishable, it will change the story, but ultimately, from the way they described it, every effect it will just lead to a different conclusion, but no one will feel punished like they're losing out on stuff, so that act like yourself. But the problem that leaves is there are decisions like, do you leave the bloody shirt, at the hotel, or do you take it with you? And of course you're going to take it with you, because you don't want anyone to know. He's already panicking that, oh, someone might find a bloody shirt and think he killed somebody. Why would I then leave that evidence at the hotel? It didn't make any sense. And it seemed like a really weird choice. But anyway, moving on. There was one other game, and I think
that was another narrative game.
Another narrative-driven story game. And this one we were both far more interested in, being 1111. This World War II story, 1111 Memories Retold, which is this really nice looking World War I story that they said wouldn't be very long, about 6 to 10 hours, but it's worked in collaboration with Aardman Studios.
Which is really cool.
Yeah, to make this sort of like glass painted visual story following two characters called Harry and Cord. There's a German guy
Cord. It was Cord.
Cord. So a German guy called Cord and a Canadian guy called Harry. Harry was voiced by Elijah Wood. I don't remember who voiced Cord.
Yeah, I don't know, but I think it was a German voice actor.
Yeah, no, maybe. But it follows their two stories at World War I. It's not a true story, but it's obviously based during the true war. And it jumps between the two. So Harry joined up to the army to impress a girl, but he's a photographer, not a fighter. And now he's stuck in the middle of World War I. Whereas Cord is an engineer whose son was in the German army and has gone missing. So he's signed up to go to the front line to try and find his son. And it's all about playing with the morality that neither of them believe that they should kill another. Neither of them are that sort of person, but they're both now stuck on opposing sides during World War I.
World War II.
No, World War I. World War I. And it was really nice story. Gameplay wise, I felt it was a bit plain. It's mostly just walk to point A, interact with object, walk to point B. Occasionally the photographer guy let you take photos, and the engineer guy let you solve very simple puzzles.
But I personally feel that it's still okay, because the strong points of this game is actually really have a narrative mechanic that really is faithful what could have happened in World War I.
Yeah. I think it's a very powerful game. It's a very unique visual game. So it's certainly one I'd be willing to check out just to make sure that for the story. As long as the story is good, this is a game I think would get a lot of fans and really reach out to a lot of people.
I mean, it's actually, I don't think it will get any fans. It's more like, no, like,
it's fail.
It has the thing, it has a very heavy story, and it's not really Main Street appealing. Even if it has Hollywood actors in it. But I still think producing games like this is very important for our industry, because games as a medium have the power to be interactive, having the power to make such stories being more emotional. Which is why I think 11.11 is actually my favorite game from Bandai Namco's lineup. Because games, there are so many war games. We have so many Call of Duties. I mean, at the beginning, Call of Duty 1 until 3, all World War II, all more emphasizing glory of soldiers, more. And I feel like games that are trying to replicate or trying to tell a story that's more faithful of what in that time happened really is very, very important for industry. And something I also know, or you probably also noticed it, but for each part, for Harry, is of course everything is in English, and for Kurt part, everything is in German.
Yeah,
like,
that's neat. I quite enjoy that.
I was
they have
really
subtitles for people, obviously. But I mean, Cord has his inner monologues in English
that was in English
for some reason, but everyone else speaks to him in German. And it's a very good indicator as well, because sometimes the game just swaps between the two suddenly. Like when you're actually on the battlefield, you play as Harry running up to a thing, and then there's a transition and suddenly you're playing as Cord. But they're both dressed as soldiers. So the only real way, and they're both in the same place. They're just on the other, like just over a hill from each other. So the only real way you can tell the difference is, unless you're like a history buff and know exactly what the World War I outfits look like, is the language everybody is suddenly speaking.
And that thing was what I also really like at the beginning from Harry's stories or Kurt's, it was more relaxing. Pull off that switch, make a photo. So it's relaxing. It was not really something you can write a book. As soon as you were in World War, you have suddenly getting screaming, yeah, do this, do that, get it behind me. A lot of stress, you feel suddenly more stressed playing this game.
You're being shot at and you can be shot and killed and stuff like that. And then,
you can lose in this game.
Yeah, you can. I did, I got shot. It just takes you back a few scenes. But, And then you play as a cat.
Yeah, that happens.
They both have animal buddies as well, a cat and a pigeon, I think it is, or a dove. And the game says that you can play as both of them. Well, you do play as the cat in the demo. I'm assuming you get to play as the dove as well then, if that's the case. But yeah, it's a very good story. I don't know, there are decisions to be made. There's only actually one decision in the whole demo, and that's right at the end, where you get a choice for Cord to either shoot Harry or not. We both chose not to shoot him, because we're good people. But I don't know how it changed. Considering what happens, I reckon, and obviously this is the early parts of the game, I doubt that Harry would get shot, and that's it. His story is done already. But there's, I think it clearly will affect the relationship of the two, deciding whether or not Cord is really going to be willing to try and take a life or not, and how Harry reacts to obviously a German soldier shooting at him or not
trying to take his life.
Yeah. But yeah, the 11.11 is a good game to watch out for. I think it comes out at the end of this year, rather than 2019.
I'm not really sure, but it would be great because I would buy that one day. Because I'm really, really interested in this game and I'm all for it.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a game that's coming out for physical. It might be a game that's only digital only. And I don't think it's coming for Switch. I think it's just PS4. In fact, actually, I didn't mention that.
No, I think
most of these games, except for My Hero,
Once Justice.
Yeah, are not on Switch. I'm pretty sure almost all of them are PS4, PC, and Xbox One. I'm trying to remember. I have no idea. Naruto to Boruto could very well be on the Switch, but I don't think One Piece World Seeker or Jump Force is. I'd have to check. But yeah, that was Bandai Namco. Finally got this video done because we've had a few video breakups as you've seen throughout, which has been a much longer wait on our end than yours. And yeah, so let us know what you thought of this, whether you got to play any of them if you went to Gamescom, any of Bandai Namco's games, what your thoughts are from the trailers and stuff. I want to thank Bandai Namco for giving us the opportunity to come in, sit in this press conference and play all these games. I am looking forward to quite a few things that I saw, and not so much some others. But yeah, now I'm just rambling. So, thank you all for watching. Hit that like and subscribe button. All of our patrons will be on the screen here, on my left, your right. I want to give special thanks to the super patron, the Duke of Dorks. He's a great guy. You should follow his channel. There's a link in the description below. And yeah, this was part 2 of a 4, maybe 5-part series, depending on length, for Gamescom. So look forward to the next part where we go over all of the other big third-party companies. So remember to return to the source.
Bye bye.